Hello and welcome to Setting the Stage, Episode 16, Thesi and Saared. Before we get into today's episode, I also wanted to remind people that we're always looking for people to interview on the show. So if you have a campaign or you know someone who has a campaign, we'd love to hear more about it. To get on the podcast, go to gocorral.com/STS. That's gocorral.com/STS. GoCorral is spelled GOCORRAL.com/STS. There's a survey there that you can fill out that'll get sent to my email so I know to read more about your campaign and set up scheduling for an interview. With that said, let's get into what Thesi has to say about his campaign world. All right, I'm here today with Thesi, and he's going to tell us about his campaign for D&D, but first we're going to learn a little bit about who you are outside of D&D. Can you introduce yourself and give us a little quick, who is Thesi? And
Yeah. Thesi, my name's Mark, but go by Thesi online. I've been playing video games since I was a little kid. Volunteer a lot with our church. I'm live with my wife. We have a couple cats that we found in our yard, and a dog. I'm sure at some point they'll be winding at the door. Um, play mostly RPGs. Um, yeah,
all
nothing
right,
too crazy. Uh,
cool. What got you into D&D?
so back in 2018, I was in a WoW guild, and they mentioned that they were going to be starting up a campaign. So, I've played RPGs since I was I think fifth or sixth grade. So it was interesting to me. I never had a chance to actually play. And yeah, had a lot of fun with it. The campaign went for about, I think, 5 months. And the final session ended up being us versus another campaign that the DM was uh, running. We were the bad guys and apparently had been foiling the other team every step of the way. But it was so cool being able to basically do anything. So I got like super excited, started listening to a bunch of podcasts, and yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty cool introductory campaign.
Yeah. Even if we got completely demolished by them, that was
Well, the bad guys are supposed to lose, right?
right. So even I got my first tattoo earlier this year, or I guess mid last year, um, and it is D&D dice, and it's using the logo of Hapless Heroes. So one of the podcasts I'm a huge fan of.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah,
I'm looking up their logo now to see what it looks like.
so yeah, it's a blue die with a one in the middle, green outline.
Hmm. So
But
you got
yeah,
the colors too for the tattoo?
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a weird looking green for skin though.
You'd think, but it actually came out good.
All right,
Yeah,
great.
I'm excited about it.
Okay. Yeah. How'd you get to be a DM?
So the campaign ended. We started up a second one. I think we made it 2 sessions in, and scheduling destroyed it. It ended up being just me and the DM, and the DM's like, "Yeah, I'm done with this."
Hmm.
So, um, I wanted to play more, and no matter how much I pushed the other DMs, they're like, "No, I don't really have a time or anything." And finally, I decided, you know what, I'll give it a try. So I bugged my wife enough, and she finally agreed and got a few of our friends from church and started the first campaign. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I decided to DM since I was the only one with any experience, and yeah.
Yeah, that's usually how that works. Yeah, it's pretty cool to have your wife be in it. That's not a very, I wouldn't say it's uncommon, but it's more rare. suppose.
Yeah, it's been fun, especially since I do a lot of planning that doesn't always make it through. So I'm at least able to talk at her and tell her stuff that I had planned.
Hmm.
Um, stuff that maybe, won't really change the world, isn't really a way I'd be able to bring that back in.
Uh-huh.
But, she'll be still interested to hear about it because she was there for the campaign.
And you don't have any like there's all these like horror stories on Reddit about favoritism for people that are in a relationship with one of the players. And
I've taken her down a few times. I've yet to completely kill a character yet. Um, I'm sure eventually that will happen, but I like to think that I'm okay with spreading the love. Like I
yeah,
said, they were all my friends beforehand, so um, yeah, don't want to ruin any relationships there.
yeah, no one's complained so far.
Not that I've heard, no.
All right, let's start talking about your world. So it's what's the name? What's it look like physically?
Yeah, so the name is Saared, which uh, is Estonian for islands. Um,
Okay.
yeah, the main map that they started the campaign with was a series of islands that were basically the size of the U.S. was how I pictured it in my head. Very moderate climate. Most of the uh, most of the commerce takes place along the coast. Um, the the big crazy thing is, um, as long as anyone was aware of, there's these giant walls of ocean uh, that are a bit outside of the reach of the islands that basically block off the rest of the world. Um, they stretch up far enough to where you can't fly over them. It's powerful enough that you can't go through them. And it basically stuck everyone in this smaller area. Um, there is the main uh, enemy for this area lives on this floating island um, that I had called the Terrace of Clouds. Basically, they rule over everyone on the ground, and because they can move their island, they sort of have a uh, full control over the land.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the water, you said that like someone can't enter it because it's too powerful. Like, does it just push them back? Like my understanding is that usually that kind of water pressure can actually suck people in if they touch it.
Yeah, it's more like a jet. So sort of pushing up and think like if you have a hose that's set to really high pressure, just trying to go through it, you bounce off the sides.
Okay. Yeah. All right. It could, yeah, rip you up and then push you away. Okay.
Yeah,
Is it a jet going up or down?
it is going up.
Okay. So if you did manage to somehow get something into it, it would be blasted miles into the air.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, so
Um,
how does the sun work with that? Because it would
so
get blocked by the water in the morning.
um, there is sunlight that goes and that can get through it. I sort of hand waved magic. It's a big enough area that it shouldn't be affected. Like I said, it's the size of the islands altogether are the size of the U.S. So there's quite a bit of world that curves.
Yeah, yeah. Like
So
I'm in California, so I've got
yeah,
the Sierras, but they don't block the sunrise for me in the morning because I'm not
exactly.
right next to them. Okay, but if you were next to it, then it would, but it's water, not mountains. So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, when your original description on the survey, I didn't realize the scope of it. So yeah, I guess if it's really that big, then yeah, it's not a problem. Um, what made you pick this like particular world design. Like it's pretty unusual.
I so I really liked the idea of having a mobile base, of having basically the adventuring party not being able to sit in one place for too long,
Hmm.
and trying to think of ways that I could accomplish that was thinking, oh, let's throw it on a ship. Let's throw it on, somewhere where they'd have to be going around, they'd be on the run. And, as far as the flying island, that inspiration came from an old SquareSoft RPG, Xenogears.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I know that one.
yeah, so um, yeah, I liked the idea of the bad guys being there, being visible in the air, and sort of that shadow of terror as they move over the area. Um, interested me. So trying to figure out how to get that to work to where it couldn't just be, oh well, we'll just stay far away. Okay, well let's cage them in. How am I going to cage them in? Okay, we have this wall of water. Um, and that ended up being a large plot point for the end of the first big arc of the campaign.
Okay. Um, so it sounds like the floating island people are the villains, and then your
Yes.
players are being chased by them because they have something the villains want and are trying to get away. Is that
So
the idea?
the general idea for this floating island was they are hunting magic users.
Oh, okay.
Um, they either kill or enslave them and do not want them basically running free. They have ways of tracking magic use, which plays back into not wanting to stay in one place for long. Um, and
Just like in Harry Potter.
basically, yeah.
Okay, so you've got the evil guys up there that are trying to control all magic.
Right.
Is there a reason they're doing that besides just, we want to have all the power?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, this was part of the first arc. They found at the heart of this floating island was a giant beholder. I don't know if you've seen any of Sespeku's maps, but he has this really cool beholder map, and I use that as the big bad for this first arc. Um,
I think I have
he
seen
had
that map
been,
that you're talking about.
yeah, it was really sick, and the first time I saw it, I was like, I need to figure out a way to use this.
Yeah, it was a nice one.
um, but so he's been collecting these magic users, the ones that aren't enslaved, that aren't killed on the surface, have been used as basically batteries to power these walls of water, to power this floating island.
Okay.
Um, Centuries ago, um, there was a rise of magic users that started developing portal technology.
Yeah.
With that, they started creating these void tears in the world, and from that came demons. Um, this giant beholder decided that it wanted nothing to do with that, so he created a safe place where these void tears could not be formed. Um, so, using the magic users not only to power, but also controlling them so they don't create more of these tears around the world.
Oh, tear like a rip. Sorry, I was
Yeah,
thinking
sorry.
tear like a terrifying
Oh,
creature.
no, sorry.
There's a void tear creature in the Hearthstone game that I was thinking of. All right,
Oh,
all right.
got it.
So rip tear. Okay, got
Yes.
it. All right. So he's actually doing something good? Is that the idea there with like
Um,
keeping those under control?
he sealed off part of the world. So the whole world that the players knew for the first arc was these islands. After defeating this beholder, um, they basically killed the link that was siphoning all of the magic power from these batteries, uh, letting the water walls fall. They did find
Oh,
a giant continent off to the side. Um, as far as scale, I'd say it's like Europe and Asia smashed together into one giant um, continent off to the side.
okay.
Um,
Usual Eurasia size thing.
yeah, and there are still terrors there. There are still magic users creating using magic, using portals and opening these tears. They've gotten a little better at controlling some of the creatures that come from it, um, and there are smaller strongholds throughout the area, which they're going to be finding more of. Um, but the idea is, even though they were doing a horrible thing, now without this barrier, more and more tears are going to start appearing across the world.
Okay. So when I first heard what the like controlling all magic users, it sounded a
Mhm.
lot like the tower in Dragon Age, where they're like trying
Oh
to
yeah, the
control
chantry.
them. Yeah, yeah, because the mages in that are
Yeah,
connected to like demons very strongly, and it's very hard to be a mage and not turn into a demon.
I do get influences from a lot of places.
Yeah.
So, um,
The Witcher also kind of has a similar theme where mages are closely connected to being too powerful and needing to be controlled by some force, but in The Witcher, the mages are controlling themselves, and
mhm,
yeah, in Dragon Age, they're controlled by the church.
yes.
Okay, so a little bit of influence there, but yeah, I'd say yours is different enough that you're not just copying.
No, that's I try to get my own flavors in.
Yeah. Now one of the notes I put down was that this seemed kind of like uh, where everything is water, like the Thales philosopher, the Greek guy, who was like trying to say, oh, everything's made of water because you have an archipelago, you've got a
Mhm.
wall of water. Um, I don't know. I don't suppose there's much else besides that. Going off of that, like, what's the sort of source of magic in your game? Is it water? Like, is it? It seems like that's a pretty strong connection there.
So it isn't water. So my players have not quite gotten here yet, but they will soon enough.
Okay.
Thousands of years ago, the gods basically walked the earth,
Hmm.
um, and a lot of their power was basically seeping out of them, soaking into the world. The followers could actually see the gods in day to day life. As more people started being around these gods, though, they started seeping up some of their power and being able to use magic. Without people that are technically following them, but are still using their power, it's been draining the gods. Um, so they are still out in the world, but not much more magical than the standard like level one wizard. Um,
Oh, okay.
most of their magic has been seeped out into the earth or into the world, into creatures, into other people, and without followers, they have no real renewing of their power.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, they're basically stuck being immortal but powerless.
Okay. So, do you feel like there's a plot there where the players try to restore the gods?
There will be some of that. Um, the main plot of this next arc is going to be shutting down these void tears. One of the parties has already seen the Demogorgon trying to break through, but is currently unable to. but he is sending more and more powerful demons to basically break open larger tears.
Okay, this is like the Demogorgon from D&D or a
Yes,
different
from
one?
D&D.
Okay, all right. There's a lot of different Demogorgons.
Yeah, it should be fun. Like I said, they've already had a face-to-face interaction and were rightfully terrified and yeah, escaped
Yeah.
just in time.
So what about so that's a little bit about the gods there and magic. Um, Go into a more step back from that like mystical stuff. What about like races and culture in your world? Like with a lot of islands, I'm kind of assuming Indonesian vibe to it, but maybe that's not quite right.
So I didn't want races to be the big dividing factor. I wanted it to be super elite upper class that live on the terrace versus the people on the land.
Hmm.
People have been bonded together out of necessity, out of a need for safety. So there isn't really the racism you see in a lot of campaigns.
Okay.
Like tieflings are super cool, and it's the drow actually invite people into small sanctuaries, um, and that
Oh,
was
okay.
actually a large mission that one of the campaigns went on. So
All right. So a lot more unity.
yes,
About the cultural influence, like for the other different places.
I've taken more of the like standard fantasy. Um, yeah, I haven't gone.
Quasi European in
Yeah,
general. All right. That's yeah. No need to go further than that if you don't want to.
yeah, I just don't want to misinterpret something and then yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that being an issue. So I had a question about what it would have been like at the very start of the wall of water going up for the community that and the communities that were living within the archipelago, or maybe was there even an island that got blasted up into the air by the wall of water?
Yeah, so there wasn't one that was sort of in the way of this wall of water. Um, I was able to, using a ghost possession, was able to embed memories into one of my players' mind of when this actually happened. Um,
Your player, not the character.
no, this was the player. Yeah, yeah, no, I mean the character, but yeah. Um, so he was one of the uh, researchers trying to figure out how to sustain this water wall that would keep the demons out.
Ah, okay.
Um, and they actually planned out how they were going to divide it up, and um, you know how they they figured out what would be the best way to um, create this. Originally, it was supposed to be um, like death row prisoners, but they couldn't figure out a way to get enough um, power from them.
Oh, where you like
And
sacrifice the death row prisoners?
yeah,
Okay.
that would be their sentence.
Ah,
Um,
yeah, okay. If they're gonna die anyways.
um, since there wasn't enough power being taken from just these few that were captured, um, the higher government basically kicked him aside and figured out, oh, anyone with magic would be a good battery. And the player's character was able to watch how this sort of good plan fell apart and became this new um, horrifying existence for um, these people that were taken.
Okay, that's kind of cool. All right, so the reason they went for magical people is because they have more
More
magical
battery.
power,
Yeah.
basically. All right.
Yes.
And so it's not necessarily something that's connected to level where like a high level fighter could power the
No.
battery. Okay. So with the gods being reduced in power, do you have clerics in your game?
I do not.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so I actually have two parties that are part of the same campaign,
Okay.
which has been pretty fun. We did have one session where I was able to get everyone together. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, the only problem came my wife is in both campaigns, so we had to get another friend to play her second character.
That's funny.
But yeah,
So no clerics. So what do they do for healing? Is it just like you have to have a
so
druid or
we have a druid in one party and a paladin in the other. Yeah, so but for the most part, they've uh they've been able to find healing potions. They've been able to uh cheese some stuff.
okay.
You know, and I think I'm a little bit generous with magic items.
Okay. Yeah. What type of magic items do you have?
Um, so I mean, I have the standard like +1, +2 weapons. I've given out some custom weapons that fit individual players. Um, the longbow of warning has been a bit frustrating for me because I can't get surprises on one of the parties. Uh,
Oh yeah. Okay.
um, just different fun things that the players wanted for their characters. Um,
Okay.
at the end of the day, it's about having fun, and if this helps them, so be it. Gives me the challenge of trying to figure out a new fight that can get past it.
Yeah, I was curious about whether the like shutting off the gods would also affect magic items.
It has not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking like maybe if they're created by like divine magic, but if it doesn't need that connection anymore, then yeah.
Yeah, my head canon is that magic has suffused the world already. Um, so the items are still there. It's just the gods aren't able to basically create new ones.
Right. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about the world before we get into your campaign plot?
So my Tuesday night group, they're just finishing a small arc where they basically found an underground series of tunnels that led to a bunch of different areas. It was just fun being able to think of different, cultures that would have lived shut off from the rest of the world, shut off from all this stuff that's going on with the demon invasion,
Hmm.
with no clue about the um, what the Terrace had done, um, and seeing how they would have interacted, among themselves. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, kind of like those Amazon tribes that are uncontacted.
Hmm.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's the big things for the world.
Okay. I guess follow up to that. What's the Underdark like for an archipelago campaign? Are they like tunnels between the islands, or are they mostly like disconnected?
It's mostly disconnected. The larger area that um, most of them came from is under the giant continent, um, and the ones that settled on the different islands originally came from this giant continent.
Ah, okay.
They just found cave systems that were suitable for themselves for different reasons on the smaller islands.
Okay. Yeah, so your plot. You mentioned the terrace and trying to stay mobile and ending the wall of water. How did that get? How did the players start? And where did they end up at the end?
Yeah, so they actually started off enslaved by one of the um, nobles up on the terrace.
Typical.
So they ran into each other during a giant ball, and a member of Cloudfall, the resistance organization,
Okay.
um, basically said, "Hey, you look like you could basically hold yourself up. Follow me, and we'll try to get you down to the surface." And so they made their way, through a through the ball, through some barracks, through some a bit of sneaking, a little bit of fighting, and were able to uh, get away down to the surface, where then they were picked up by uh, the ship that uh, Cloudfall was using, which was named the Hoard. So it's a think almost like as far as what it looks like, a submarine, except it doesn't go underwater.
Okay.
So it looks very sleek, very rounded. Um,
Like it's closed on top.
yes,
So it doesn't have sails then? It's just using like some magic
yeah,
power, I guess.
yes.
Okay.
And the same magic power that propels it also has a slight cloaking field around it, so that way they don't have to worry about being spotted uh, for having magic.
Okay. Oh, that was another question I had. Does the Terrace are they able to sense magic items?
Um, they are to a certain extent, um, but enough of their soldiers have magic items to where they don't necessarily follow up on every single one they find.
Okay, I see.
Um, and as I mentioned, they aren't really in one spot for long, even when they're doing missions, helping out different towns and stuff.
Mhm.
It's pop in, help, then bounce.
Gotcha. Okay, and you mentioned the rebel organization is called Cloudfall. I'm assuming that's a reference to trying to get the Terrace to fall down.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Trying to bring the downfall of the Terrace of Clouds. Yes.
Okay, and the not a submarine ship is called the Hoard,
Yes.
like a horde of people or like a hoard of treasure.
Like a hoard of treasure.
Okay, what's
Yeah.
the reasoning for that name? That doesn't.
So the leader of Cloudfall appears as a halfling female, very unassuming, um, but both both teams actually found out later in the campaign that she is a silver dragon that has been trapped there. That takes on the appearance of a halfling, just
Okay,
to sort of hide who she really is. Um, she considers Cloudfall to be her treasure hoard. That's she sees the people that want
okay,
to throw in with her as what is most valuable to her.
I see. Okay, that name makes sense then.
Though, yeah, at the time, neither of the parties, even really looked at it. It's like, okay, Horde, that's a weird name, whatever.
Yeah, ships have weird names all the time,
Oh
so
yeah,
just- I just feel like one that important in your campaign probably has a reason for the name.
yes, yes.
All right, so they got free from Cloudfall. They hook up with the Horde, and then they what was the plan for ending the domination of the Terrace?
Ultimately, it was trying to get enough of a resistance to sneak in and take it down from the inside.
Okay.
Um, but that was a very long game plan. So early on, it was okay. We found this town that was just attacked by the Terrace. Go see what you can do about helping them. Maybe um, clear out some farmland now that they don't have any soldiers. Go try to gather some resources so that way they can eat for the next couple months while they rebuild stuff. Um, so a lot of trying to improve the lives of the people around. Um, and there were a few occasions where, due to their actions, someone wanted to join. Um, for example, there was a one of the towns mentioned that their uh, a gnome sorceress had been kidnapped by a bunch of kobolds. So the
Hmm.
party goes, slaughters, all the kobolds. They get to the sorceress only to realize, oh wait, she was enslaving them. Yeah, they find that she's set up like this giant, throne area. She's was found a way to basically hide her magic use, and um,
Okay.
so end of the cave system, they realized that it was not safe to send her back, and she attacked them, so they fought back. On the way back to the town to explain what happened, they found another kobold that was on the way back with a big pile of gold for the sorceress. And upon hearing that, he had no home now. Now that he didn't have to serve this sorceress anymore. He ended up joining up with Cloudfall, and that is how they met Redpaw. Basically, he turned into the gopher that would run around the ship and, yeah, send messages and
Hmm.
could get supplies quickly for them.
Okay. So that was an important NPC for them.
Yeah. Um, so the first, good chunk of the campaign was trying to help towns uh, take out smaller parties of Terran military and basically try to keep them from causing too much of an issue down on the surface. Eventually, they found a group of elite uh, Terran soldiers um, that had uh,
And
oh,
Terran like Earth?
from the Terrace.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. um, they found this elite group that was trying to take over a an orphanage of kids that had magic parents. So they had a bit of magic in them too, so might as well take them.
Okay.
Um,
Can't argue with
the
that.
Yeah, the party found them and was able to defeat them, but found that uh, there was no airship, no way to get down to the surface. And upon searching their bodies, they found these small ping pong ball sized orbs that look kind of like an oil slick.
Okay.
Um, when squeezed, it transported them to the void plane. Um, and when squeezed again, was able to transport them back to the orphanage. Doing a bit more testing, they found out these void orbs, or as they would call them, squishies, would let them teleport to a place that they were thinking of.
Okay.
Um, and using that, this group was able to teleport back up to the terrace and do uh, undercover work, um, working for that gnome that had saved them back at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
They were able to take down some of the um, military officers. They were able to cause some chaos, find different weak points, and eventually find a way to uh, get all of Cloudfall up into um, the terrace for the big mid campaign battle.
Mid-campaign battle.
Yes.
That sounds like an end campaign battle. What meant that not being the end?
So this was when they, attacked um the terrace. They brought down the terrace and the water walls came down, opening a whole new world and realizing what exactly these void um these void tears were going to mean for the world.
Oh,
So
okay.
sort of figuring out, okay, this, even though this was our plan for the whole time, there's a lot scarier now than just watching the skies. Um, and as I mentioned, this was what started uh, them looking into how to stop the demon invasion.
Right.
So they did that session at level 8, I believe.
Where are they at right now?
Um, so they are just going to be up to 11, I believe.
Okay. I guess the reason I was saying that wasn't the end is it
If it feels like a big end, like, all right, here we go, we saved the day.
yeah, it feels
Um,
like you're starting a new campaign with the same characters almost with the new stuff.
right, right. Um, so my Tuesday campaign is actually a church group. So wanting to
Okay.
continue the church group, it was okay. Here's an easy way to keep it going. Um, they had already invested in their characters. They had already invested in the world. Um, so no point reinventing the wheel. Um,
Is this a youth group or adults?
Adults,
Okay. So
yes.
I remember doing it as a youth group when I was a kid,
Oh,
but
nice. Yeah, I haven't done with any of the kids yet, but
okay. Yeah. So you said you had two, are they two groups of players in the same campaign? Are
yes,
they both working for Cloudfall or were both working for Cloudfall, I guess?
yes, they're both different away units for Cloudfall.
Okay.
And yeah, they ran into each other on occasion. There are a few times where one of the players would play in the other campaign, just bring their character along. Um, but for the most part, their own units stayed together, um, doing things to further Cloudfall.
Did you have any issues like trying to get time lined up for the different parties?
Yes. Um, so the Tuesday night group is easy because this is considered a church group. So it's like, okay, we have we start off the session with basically talking over the message, and then we go into the second part, which is the actual D&D campaign.
Hmm.
Since we were able to schedule that out in advance, it was very easy to say, okay, the D&D is every other week. Everyone was able to clear out their calendar for that. For the other group, it was sort of the original plan, so that way everyone would be able to make it, was one Sunday a month. But trying to get 6 people to all say one Sunday that works for all of them got to be really difficult.
Hmm. Yeah.
um, and so we don't have quite as many sessions with that group. When it came for the mid campaign battle, I wanted everyone to be there in person. So we planned it a couple months in advance. We're able to find a Saturday that worked for everyone. Um, and again, that took a bit of work, a bit of finessing to make sure that everyone would be able to get, okay, we can't start later than this. We can't start earlier than this. This is our cutoff time here, and yeah, it was, but
That
it
wasn't
was
actually
fun.
quite what I meant though. What I meant was the timing for the different characters. So
Oh,
if you have
okay.
one party that goes off and does something for, I don't know, 5 days, another party that goes and does something for 10 days, do you actually try to keep those timelines like
I'm
making
I'm more
sense
of
within
a
the campaign
I'm more of
world
a
or
hand
just speed
wave.
of plot? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's they were able to, and most of the missions are self-contained, where it isn't like a okay, this is going to take 7 sessions to get through this mission. I
Mhm.
tried to make it so they go out. It was maybe 2 sessions. Um, the Tuesday group was a little easier to spread out if needed, but um, at the end of the day, they were going back to the Hoard.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that does
so
make it
they
easier.
so they'd run into each other there. They'd be meeting up in the mess hall, um, and they were seeing other members of Cloudfall while they were there too.
Okay, so that means you must have not been doing like any long dungeons for your adventures.
I did once, and yeah, it was not fun on my end. It was the only official Wizards module I ran,
Oh, okay.
and it was a pain in the butt trying to get to work and keep people interested. And it was like, okay, well, I think I'm done with that. I'll go back to
Yeah,
my
if it's
own.
not fun, yeah.
Yeah,
What what module was that? I'm just curious.
it was what was it called? It was one of their charity ones. I can't even think of what it's called now. Infernal Machine Rebuild. They
Infernal
did,
Machine
yeah, they
Rebuild?
did it for Extra Life.
Oh, okay. This is a official adventure?
I believe so, and I got it from the Wizards website. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I guess it is. It's got the official branding stuff on it.
yeah. So we got through chapter 3, and I was like, yeah, they are not feeling this, and ended up stopping.
It has it has chapters.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I personally don't like modules either. I feel like I'm trapped by them and I don't have the freedom to make up my own
Hmm.
answers to questions. I have to like dig through the book to find the answer because if I come up with my own answer and it contradicts something else, then I have to keep improving until I might as well not be using the module.
Yeah, I think the only good thing from modules is it has names there for you for the characters.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and the maps are good too.
yeah, I mean, I've been on Reddit enough to where I have a nice selection of maps.
Yes, there are
Um,
a lot of good maps on Reddit.
and I did pick up Wonder Draft. Um, so I've made, quite a few maps of my own that can fit what I have in mind for specific, missions.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um, well, I'm feeling like we've touched on everything. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Um, for the most part, that's the campaign as a whole. It was a lot of fun developing one city that they would be able to sort of live in. So that was the Terrace while they were,
Oh, for
under
like the first part.
when they were no for when they were undercover up there.
Oh, okay.
So finding ways to keep travel around the city um, hidden, trying to keep their identity from being revealed. Um, Developing the different districts was a lot of fun. The different shops, because that was something that when they were just going in places for one at a time, it was like, okay, here's the tavern, and here's a few people, but they aren't really going to be wandering around the town a whole lot. So having places they would keep going back to, trying to come up with unique voices for shopkeepers and stuff was
Oh yeah.
fun. Um, Trying to come up with names, like I mentioned, wasn't always fun. Uh, I definitely have a female elf named Felf, and they found a friendly mimic at one point that, oh, what's his name? Uh, uh, Chesty, which broke the session for, I don't know, a good few minutes.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I've learned definitely keep some names handy.
Yeah. I feel like I'm pretty good at coming up with names, but my players have made fun of me for doing it because I always come up with two-syllable names.
Nice.
So uh,
If it works, it
sometimes,
works.
yeah, I notice myself doing it, and I'm just like, yeah, well, like that's what I want the name to be, so it's gonna be that. Yeah.
It's been it's been fun learning about the world as much as creating. Um, because I've had them ask plenty of questions about how things work, and okay, now I have to figure out how this actually works instead. Um,
Right.
and definitely has given me ideas for the future of how I'm going to be working on campaigns.
Yeah. Do you have any advice you want to give people about that learning process?
Um, get inspiration from wherever you can. Um, yeah, as long as you twist it to your own, um, most people will never realize. Um,
Yeah.
and make sure you're having fun. Because yeah, as a DM, you often think of yourself as, oh, I have to create the world so that way all my players have fun. But at the end of the day, if you aren't having fun, what's the point?
Right. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, then yeah, thank you for coming on the show. It was good having you.
Yeah, thank you.